So we're ready to go? Yep. Are we rolling?
Yep.
The camera's rolling?
Yep.
We're going to do this?
We're live.
We're live. Sort of.
Recording.
All right, this is Coffee Talk. Settle in. So what is Coffee Talk? It's a place where we intend to facilitate safe conversations about life, about faith. Hopefully it will challenge you, that will encourage you, and that will inspire you as well. And we all know that life has been a bit of a struggle lately. We're living in the midst of a lot of uncertainty and so much unrest. It just sort of feels like our lives are being flipped, turned upside down. And if you're like me, maybe you struggle to process it all. Maybe your mind has been flooded with some unanswered questions, or perhaps it's caused you to appreciate the simpler things in life, like a good cup of coffee and meaningful conversations with trusted friends. And with that, we're here to create some content that we hope will brighten your day as we dig deep into important conversations about the pressing issues that are affecting all of us right now, no matter what your age. Now, we have some pertinent topics that we're going to discuss with you on the horizon. Topics such as the highs and lows of surviving a pandemic, how to de-stress and manage your anxiety, family matters, grief, lament, empathy. But today's topic is happiness. So grab your cup of coffee and join in on the conversation. But before we do, let's start off with a segment that we're calling Take 3. All right, well, in light of the recent popularity of the Bernie memes, sitting in a chair, mittens, winter parka at the inauguration, I thought it would be fun for us to take a quick look at some of the most popular memes of all time. So here's take 1. Now, for those of you who don't know what a meme is, first of all, welcome to the 21st century. Just kidding, of course. But secondly, a meme is simply this. It's an amusing and interesting item, usually a captioned picture or video that spreads like wildfire on social media. The more frequently it gets shared, we equate that to it going viral. So, interesting enough, the word meme is now more popular. It's a more popular searched word than Jesus. But don't worry, because Jesus himself, he's an OG when it comes to memes. Remember the BRB Jesus? Remember this Jesus? Yeah, those are good ones. So first up is Condescending Willy Wonka. You've probably seen this one. Oh, you just graduated? That's nice. I'll have a mocha frappuccino. What do we got next? Success Kid. You know, the little baby with the fist. I ate spaghetti while wearing a white shirt. Didn't get any sauce on it. Yeah. And last but not least, cat memes, because they're everywhere. Whether it's the hang in there cat, the peeking cat, or of course the world famous Grumpy Cat. So what's your favorite meme? Go ahead and shout it out loud right now at your screen, your television, your iPhone, or whatever you're watching the show on. And while you're at it, why don't you just text that meme to your random friend in your contact list. Are you ready for take 2? We're sticking with that viral theme. We're going to talk about the most viral videos of all time. So who do you got? What comes to mind when you think of the viral videos? Maybe it's the annoying orange or fail videos. Those are my favorite. You got Sneezing Panda, Evolution of Dance, and the number one all time, the one that probably invented the viral video is Charlie Bit My Finger. Ouch, Charlie, that really hurts. That's my impression of Charlie. Okay. All right, well, now we're on to take 3. Take 3. Worst jokes of all time. Did you hear about the man who was sacked from the calendar factory? It's because he took a couple of days off. Okay. And that, my friends, is take 3. Let's move on. Well, today's topic for Coffee Talk is happiness, and in a few moments I'll be having a conversation with a friend of mine. Her name's Kay Wolfinger, and she's the director of Young People's Ministries at the East Ohio Conference of the United Methodist Church. Kay has over 25 years of experience of working with teens and young adults, both in education and in ministry. And we're going to be discussing happiness, the topic for the day. We'll talk about why we need it, how it helps us navigate uncertainty in life, how come it's a key for our survival. But first, let's hear what you have to say about happiness. Take a look. So in your experience, what generally makes people happy, whether they're young or old?
Um, I think when I think of teenagers, especially, and when they are happiest is when they are around people that accept them, where they feel like they can be themselves. I think um, the opposite is you see teens who are sad and upset when they have issues with friends, right? Or groups of friends or people they thought were friends. So I think teens find happiness um, when they're with their peers who accept them for who they are. You know, feeling like someone knows you, accepts you, remembers your name, um, gets you, right? And you can be authentic in yourself.
What were some of those things that we've observed that bring sort of a false sense of happiness? Let's think about like the academic side, or maybe some of those pressures that sometimes get placed upon the shoulders of young people.
Being able to take AB classes or be in honors classes or getting a 4 point whatever. Kids strive for that and feel happy when they've been accepted or allowed to do these things, or CCP classes. But there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, and I don't know that that it's all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, I
And
mean, a sense of fulfillment that comes with
yeah,
accomplishment, but I think we have to tread lightly with that, especially as adults or as parents, that we don't put too much pressure so
right.
that our children are no longer happy when they succeed. I guess that's what I was kind of thinking about. So you understand how there's that sort of naturalness from a parent perspective that we might add to the pressure, which
Yep.
may take away from the happiness.
Yeah. And I think teens also tie their happiness with their parents' happiness. Parent, if this makes my parent happy, then it should or must or does make me happy. And there's a false sense there too, I think.
But where does
Oh, sure.
identity come into play with happiness?
Yeah, I think with teenagers, friends and a significant other is very closely tied for them to happiness. And so they and this is a slippery slope, I think, for anyone, where you tie your own happiness to someone else, and are only happy when you're with that person or that group of friends, because that can um, you can lose that so quickly. You have to love yourself. You have to find happiness and joy within yourself.
Well, I think
So,
at any age we
yeah,
to
sure.
sort of self-worth, because as we get older, we might find our worth or our value in our jobs,
Hmm.
even in our families, and then what happens when your kids leave the house when they grow up.
Yeah.
There's a void, and so that's a whole different stage of life that an adult has to then kind of navigate. Um, Not that you still, obviously, a parent still finds happiness, or a grandparent or whatever, with their family, but it kind of shifts.
You got to find your identity again. And that changes throughout your life too. As a teenager, your identity is what extracurricular activity you're in, right?
It's in what
That
you're doing.
right. And so you find yourself defined by that, and your happiness is wrapped up in that.
Well, why do you think we need happiness? What is it about happiness that is the key to, getting through life, especially in the past year when we've all been dealing with, a global pandemic and a lot of uncertainty? Why do we need happiness, especially in the midst of these crazy times?
I think if we think about this last year, I think we've probably had to redefine happiness in some ways, or search maybe a little harder than we did before for that happiness. Maybe it's, especially for a teenager, maybe it's actually just taking a walk or going on a hike or taking a bike ride. Like, that brings you happiness, and you might not have thought about that prior to the pandemic, or being stuck inside.
Like maybe sort of slowing down and kind of simplifying our lives because we were forced to do that. Hopefully that's led to some newfound joy
Yeah.
that we've discovered in unique ways.
It's like we found some new happiness, because we were too busy.
All right, well, let's kind of recap and give some practical steps. So I'm going to add to that mix. A practical step is gratitude. I think that's a key to our own happiness and joy, as when we can begin to see the good that is around us in my life and in the lives of others. Because if I feel my life is good, that's one thing, but I need to be able to recognize that there is also good in others as well. So one practical step that I'm going to offer out there is sort of gratitude journal. And so I started this a while ago, and I call it one good thing. And so every night before I go to bed, I have to write down at least one good thing that happened to me that day, or something that I observed in the lives of others in that day. And I can promise that will make you it makes you more self-aware, makes you more aware of other people, and it also makes you more happy. So
yeah, I think, like we said, there's a science to this, but being in nature, or being outside, and exercise, I think those two things together is a good way to find joy, to find happiness. Sometimes it gets you in your own head as well. And with that, I think being unplugged for that little bit, that it just brings, it brings happiness. It brings joy to your life.
We live in a culture that's almost obsessed with the pursuit of happiness. Even our Declaration of Independence says that the pursuit of happiness is a right that's so obvious that it doesn't need explanation. But we live in a culture where the pursuit of happiness has almost become the same thing as the pursuit of pleasure and the pursuit of self-gratification at any cost. I'm not sure the framers of the Declaration of Independence had that in mind when they talked about the pursuit of happiness. We'll get into that later. Sheryl Crow sings in a song, "If it makes you happy, it can't be that bad." Well, Sheryl, that's a potentially dangerous understanding of happiness. Does God want us to be happy? Absolutely. But the key is to understand what God means by true happiness. Do the scriptures, does the Bible have anything to say about happiness? It has a lot to say about it. But in the scripture, happiness, it doesn't come from external circumstances or material stuff or even achievements. In the Old Testament, the idea of happiness has more to do with being blessed by God. And what's the secret of being blessed by God? Well, it's living according to God's design and God's plan. Psalm 34 says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed or happy is the one who puts their trust in the Lord." Proverbs 29 says, "Blessed or happy is the one who keeps God's law." So in the Old Testament, we're blessed when we live according to God's design and God's plan for our lives. When we turn over to the pages of the New Testament, the idea of happiness still means to be blessed of God, but it takes on an even deeper meaning of contentment, that we can be content, blessed, regardless of our circumstances. In fact, in the Beatitudes, and the word Beatitudes is just the Latin word for happiness. In the Beatitudes, Jesus said, "Blessed or happy are you when you are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God." Jesus says, "You're happy, you're blessed when you're hungry now, for you will be satisfied." Jesus says, "You're happy When you mourn now, for you will laugh later. That's a completely different understanding of happiness than what our culture tells us. So the question is, where are you getting your understanding, your definition of happiness? Because if you make the pursuit of happiness or pleasure your highest priority, you're always going to be disappointed. Jesus says there's almost this irony. The less you're concerned with your pleasure or your happiness, and the more you're concerned with the things of God, the happier, the more content you will be. In other words, focus on your relationship with God, and the things of this earth, the pleasures and the happiness of this world will also be gained. You just focus on pleasure and happiness, and Jesus says you lose it all. So true happiness, true contentment, they come from our relationship with God through Jesus Christ. But with that happiness, with that contentment, there comes a responsibility.
Thank you, Kay and Don, for sharing your wisdom about happiness. And also thank you, those of you who chimed in via social media to answer those questions. Now, we heard a few comments related to identity and human connection. Well, recently, I sat down on a Zoom call to talk with a small group of students, some teenagers, about this very topic. Now, I know, by now we're all sort of getting a little bit bored with Zoom calls, but we've had to adapt, and some of us have sort of adopted a Zoom identity, am I right? There's the coffee sipper, there's the overly relaxed guy, there's the guy that's got his nose up to the camera, there's the sleeper, there's the guy with the green screen background, perhaps there's the guy with no pants. It is what it is. We're used to Zoom, so I invite you to take a look at this brief conversation with some students about the topic of happiness and how it then connects us to kindness. Take a look.
We're going to do a short discussion on happiness and kindness. All right, let's jump in. How happy do you think most teenagers are? Scale of 1 to 10. 1 would be not happy, 10 would be very happy.
I don't know, 8?
7, because like it just like depends, like because some kids are happy and some kids are not, like, you know, I feel like depression's like a really big thing around being a teenager a lot, so, and then anxiety with like school and everything, so I feel like a 6 or a 7.
Okay, and so it could also change maybe throughout the year. There might be sometimes they're higher and other times lower.
6.
5.
All right, I want you to answer for adults. How happy do you think adults are? Scale of 1 to 10. I'll go around the room again.
6 or 7.
Okay.
5, 6, or 7.
Like 7.
7.
All right. How do your extracurriculars make you happy?
It gives you like kind of an escape from like daily life.
Okay.
It's physical activity, a competition, and you're hanging out with friends. So like,
Right.
Yeah, it's been nice since like switching schools. I like made more friends through playing softball, and then also it's like nice because it's like kind of like relaxing when you're
Right.
practicing that stuff.
Think about this. Do you think that there's a connection between happiness and kindness?
Yeah, because I don't know how to explain it, but like if you're being kind, like if you're happy, you're like more likely going to be kind to someone than when you're mad at someone. You're not going to be as kind, I feel like.
Okay. What about if it was a stranger, like someone you didn't know as well?
I would probably be doing kindness in like little ways instead of like bigger ways.
Okay.
Like an example is like helping them out in the store if they need help with grabbing something,
Right.
or
Right.
like opening the door for them.
Sure.
Kindness is like when you're, I don't know how that, like when you do something for someone else and it like makes their, like, you know, makes their day, and it can be just simply as like opening the door for someone at school.
Like doing stuff for others.
doing chores for your parents.
Oh, that's a good one. Helping out around the house. How do you think that makes your parents feel if you do chores without them having to like, you know, nag on you or whatever to bug you?
makes them happy, I guess.
So doing little things can help out, can make your parents happy, just little acts of kindness. And on the flip side, adults can do kind things to help out, whether it be their kids or just people that they know, or people in the, kids in the church or in the youth group.
Yeah, because like when you're being kind, it can make you happy. Like when you like help someone out, like at school, if you help like someone pick up their books, it can make you happier.
You could like compliment someone. Like if you know they're having like a bad day, you could be like, "Oh, you look good today." Like
I could help Silas with his homework.
At the lunch ladies, I could say thank you, and then also I could let someone go in front of me in the lunch line, because like the lines get like you have to wait like 10 minutes to go to lunch.
Oh,
The
really?
line's wrong.
Oh man. Based on all of the stuff that we've been dealing with for like the past 10 months with COVID and all the craziness with school, and sometimes maybe you had to be quarantined, or schools were going virtual and all that kind of crazy stuff. How important has happiness been in your life?
No, it's pretty important, I think.
Because you have more of a positive outlook.
Okay, a positive outlook.
I feel like it's been really important, even if it's just like the little things,
Right.
Like I know I've been very lucky that I've got to go to school every day of our school year so far, and like I've been also lucky that I haven't been quarantined yet
Right.
through school. But it's just been really like just like the little things count. Like like I don't think I've ever wanted to go back to school until this year. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, thank you for tuning into our very first Coffee Talk, whether you're viewing this at home or on your lunch break, while you're with your friends in a small group or whatever. Really hope this has inspired you to face another day with joy in your heart. My mantra as of late has been this: just taking things one day at a time, and so can you. And in fact, if there's one important takeaway from this discussion on happiness, it's this: it's that you are not alone. So we're going to give you 2 challenges for the week. First, I want you to reach out to someone via your contacts. Get your cell phone out, find someone in your contact list. And yes, you can send them a random meme, but you can also take it one step further and check in with them. Ask them how they are doing, but mean it. Text them, call them on the phone, or if you could do it safely, meet with them in person and have a meaningful conversation. Offer a word of encouragement, because chances are, if you need encouragement, so do they. Now, secondly, I challenge you to start a gratitude journal. Just to list one thing each day that you're grateful for. And I guarantee if you do this, you will become happier. It'll help you become more aware of the good things in your life. And if you want to keep it really practical, just utilize the Notes app on your smartphone. So keep this gratitude log and give thanks to God for all the good in your life and for the good in the lives of others as well. I also want to invite you to connect with us on social media and on the web. And also be sure to check out the link in the bio for show notes and a talk sheet that you can have some personal conversations and dig a little bit deeper into this topic of happiness. And as I roll out of here, I just want to remind you of this: be kind to one another and be kind to yourself. Peace out.